I want to talk about the state of negotiations between the United States and Iran because a lot has been said regarding the status of these talks from all sides, especially over the past couple of days. So I want to break it down, give a rough timeline, and then get your perspective on it.
Did Iran just walk away from negotiations with the United States? Or is a deal closer than ever? Over the last 48 hours, we've seen reports that Iran suspended talks, threats to block the Strait of Hormuz, President Trump saying he couldn't care less if negotiations ended, and then suddenly claiming talks are moving at a rapid pace. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says a breakthrough could happen any day. So what's really going on here? Let's break it down.
I want to talk about the state of negotiations between the United States and Iran because a lot has been said regarding the status of these talks from all sides, especially over the past couple of days. So I want to break it down, give a rough timeline, and then get your perspective on it. Let's start with Monday because reporting out of Iran claimed that the regime had suspended negotiations with the United States and vowed to completely block the Strait of Hormuz. Then in an interview with CNBC, President Trump was asked about the news that Iran pulled out of negotiations, and he said that the regime never told him they were stopping talks, but he couldn't care less if they were over or not. The talks, according to him, were getting boring, and that the regime was tapping us along. That's how he characterized that. And those comments came before a phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, because during the CNBC interview, President Trump said he was going to ask Netanyahu about what was happening in Lebanon. Then on Monday afternoon, President Trump posted on social media that he had productive calls with both Netanyahu and Hezbollah, and both sides agreed to stop attacking each other. President Trump also posted that, quote, talks are continuing at a rapid pace with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Then let's fast forward to Tuesday, today, because reporting this morning indicated that Israel and Hezbollah have continued attacking one another. Then a senior Iranian military official reportedly said that it appears returning to war with the United States seems, quote, inevitable because, quote, the United States demands our total surrender and the Iranian nation will never surrender. This morning, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is also testifying before the Senate, and he indicated, though, that a deal could happen imminently. I want to read exactly what he said. He said, quote, there's the prospect before us, which could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week. For the first time, certainly in my memory, they have agreed to negotiate aspects of their nuclear program that just a month ago, just a year ago, they were refusing to even mention. You and I are sitting here, it's midday on Tuesday. So to start off the conversation, A, let me know if I missed anything in there, and B, what are some of your takeaways from the past couple of days?
Yeah, well, I would say that was a really great overview of a rapid, sort of dizzying chain of events. The only thing that I would add is that there's also been widespread reporting that Trump essentially reamed Netanyahu for continuing the war in Lebanon and threatening to go into Beirut, and then subsequently said, that Israel was not going to do that anymore, but the sides are still sort of fighting, right? So the Trump's reaction to Netanyahu seems to be a pretty angry one. Where are we standing right now? Well, in a lot of ways, the situation is the exact same it's been since the ceasefire began April 8th, or at least a couple days later when Trump put the blockade on Iran. We have the standoff in the Strait of Hormuz between the U.S. and Iran. Neither side wants to back down first, but the situation facing the U.S. is rapidly getting worse as oil prices continue to stay high and could go higher very soon as global inventories continue to drain. Iran is trying to make a point that the U.S. needs to restrain Israel in the war in Lebanon. And all throughout this conflict, Israel has resisted doing that, right? The original ceasefire from April 8th was supposed to include Lebanon, and Israel has managed to continue fighting there, even as the U.S. and Iran have, for the most part, refrained from fighting between the two countries, right? There have been some skirmishes in Hormuz, but we haven't seen a wholesale return to all-out war. Iran clearly wants Israel to lay off Lebanon, and I think there's two things going on in that sort of part of their negotiations. One is a genuine desire to get Israel to leave Lebanon. The other is that Iran understands that Israel played a major role in encouraging the U.S. to go to war with Iran. And I think that they're trying to cause strain in the US-Israel relationship, because they see that relationship as being part of why this war happened, and it's one that does not help them sort of going forward. So I think they're trying to put pressure on the US and Israel relationship, and I think they're succeeding in doing that by insisting that Israel desist its operations in Lebanon.
During an interview, President Donald Trump dismissed reports that Iran had ended negotiations, saying Tehran never told him talks were over and claiming the regime was just tapping us along. But hours later, Trump posted that negotiations with Iran were continuing at a rapid pace. At the same time, tensions remain high across the region. Reports suggest Trump had a heated conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over ongoing military operations in Lebanon, while fighting between Israel and Hezbollah continues despite ceasefire efforts. Adding another twist, a senior Iranian military official warned that conflict with the United States may be inevitable, arguing that America's demands amount to total surrender. Yet during Senate testimony, Secretary of State Marco Rubio struck a much more optimistic tone, saying a deal with Iran could happen today, tomorrow, or next week. So while the headlines point in every direction, one thing is clear: negotiations are still alive, but the pressure on all sides is growing fast. The next few days could determine whether this ends in a deal or a deeper crisis.